Japan to Milan to Uzbekistan, all across the world, Jesus is the King. From Queensland to Greenland, way down in New Zealand, all across the world, Jesus is the King. Do you not know? Have you not heard? My God made the universe. Na 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 na. Have you not heard? Do you not know? He's the truth, the life, the only way to go. Na 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 na. From Japan to Milan to Uzbekistan, all across the world, Jesus is the King. From Queensland to Greenland, way down in New Zealand, all across the world, Jesus is the King. Do you not know? Have you not heard? My God made the universe. Na 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 na. Have you not heard? Do you not know? He's the truth, the life, the only way to go. Na 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 na. I said, hey, hey, what? Jesus is the King. Oh yeah. I said, hey, hey, what? Jesus is the King. Oh yeah. From Japan to Milan to Uzbekistan, all across the world, Jesus is the King. From Queensland to Greenland, way down in New Zealand,
all across the world.
Jesus is the King. From Queensland to Greenland, way down in New Zealand, all across the world, Jesus is. From Japan to Milan to Uzbekistan, all across the world, Jesus is the King. From Queensland to Greenland, way down in New Zealand, all across the world, Jesus is the King.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Faithbridge Kids. I'm Montana Greg,
And I'm Ninja Rob.
and I am super excited because today we're talking about peace.
Peas? Greg, I know a lot about peas. Let me tell you, I went to the Peas Elementary in Odessa, Texas. You've heard about it? I went there. And let me tell you, one thing they teach you is never leave home without your peas. Wait. These are my bad boys right here. Let me tell you, I got these at HEB. And I'm not saying that I got them at a discount, but I'm not saying I didn't.
Let me interrupt you. These are peas, right? That's what you're talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, I can open it.
No, you don't need to open it. You don't need, no, because it says right on the label. We're not talking about peas. We're talking about peace. You know, like world peace or, you know, the peace sign. Makes sense, right?
You mean like,
Oh, whoa. Well, not quite, not quite. You're getting there. You're getting there. No, the peace that I'm talking about, it takes courage. You can't just sit around all day and do that. No, it
Okay.
takes some work. Yeah. So,
All right.
now, let me think. I have an example. Do you like science?
I love science.
You love science. Well, great. I have an awesome example. Maybe you've seen something like this before, but what happens with this is you pull this back, bring it back, and it goes like that, right? What happens is there's a force that happens when this goes on like this, right? It'll keep going and going
I like it.
and going and going.
Oh, okay. I think I understand. I'm getting it.
But
getting
until it all of a sudden just stops, just like that. All right, and that's basically what peace is. Yeah. So what happens is peace is also kind of a force. What it does is it can stop something that's going in the wrong direction, and it helps people to go to the right direction.
Okay, so you're saying when there's not peace, you can put yourself into it and stop
Yeah.
whatever is keeping peace away.
Yeah, like I said, it takes action. You don't just sit back and wait for it to happen.
Okay, but if we're gonna do that in the world, we're gonna need God's help.
That's right. You're
do
absolutely
that.
right. You're right. And we're going to learn more about that in a little bit. So go ahead and check this out.
Have you guys ever been in an argument with someone? How did that make you feel? Maybe you felt upset, angry, or even nervous. Sometimes your stomach might even feel a little bit icky. I know that when I have those feelings, the only thing that is going to make me feel better is God's peace. But how do I get God's peace? Well, I can pray or I can read my Bible. Did you know that sometimes God uses people to bring us his peace? And that is exactly what happens in our story today. God uses someone to bring peace to what could have been a very terrible situation. Now, our story starts with David. You may have heard of him from the Bible stories where he is a famous king. But this story happened before David was king. In this story, he is a brave commander. A commander is a soldier that is in charge of many, many other soldiers. So David had been on the run because a jealous king named Saul had been after him. So David and his warriors decided to hide out in the wilderness. While they were there in the wilderness, David and his men met a group of shepherds who were caring for a large flock of sheep. These shepherds were owned by a rich man named Nabal. You might remember that David had been a shepherd when he was younger, so he knew all the dangers the sheep and shepherds faced. David and his men showed great kindness to the shepherds and helped protect Nabal's sheep from danger. Now, sheep could get into all sorts of dangerous situations. They could be attacked by wild animals, they could fall into deep crevices and get stuck. And David and his men helped guard and protect the sheep so no danger would come on them. Now, the time came for something really special to happen. It was time for the sheep to get sheared. Now, this is just a fancy way for saying that they were about to get a haircut. Now, this only happened a couple of times a year, and it was a huge deal. They needed the sheep's wool for their families and to make money, so sheep shearing was a big deal. It was a reason to celebrate, to even party. And David knew that Nabal would be celebrating, which meant tons of extra food and supplies. So David sent a few of his men to talk to Nabal to see if he would share their food and supplies with them. David sent 10 of his men to Nabal with a friendly greeting. The greeting reminded Nabal that David and his men had helped and protected his shepherds and sheep and had never stolen anything from them. Then he said, "So would you be kind to us since we have come at a time of celebration? Please share any provision you might have on hand with us." But Nabal wasn't the nicest guy around. In fact, he was pretty mean. He sneered at David's men and said, "Who is this fellow David? Who does he think he is?" He even called David a servant and an outlaw. Nabal went on to say, "Why should I give away my bread and water? Why should I give away the meat I've prepared for those who clip the wool off my sheep? Why should I give food to men who come from who knows where?" In other words, Nabal said, "No, no, no," and in case you missed it, no! What? Nabal had all of that food, way more than he could eat on his own, and he wouldn't share it with the army of men who had protected his sheep and shepherds? Well, the men went back and told David what Nabal had said. When David heard what Nabal said, he was angry. Actually, he was more than angry. He turned to his men and said, "Pick up your swords." David took about 400 men and headed back to Nabal's place. He was going to make Nabal sorry for what he had done. Meanwhile, one of Nabal's servants ran to Nabal's wife, Abigail. He told her what was going on and said, "You'd better do something. There's going to be trouble." The servant hoped that Abigail would be able to do something to keep anything terrible from happening. Abigail was a very wise woman, and she acted quickly. When she heard what had happened between Nabal and David, she immediately took action. Abigail quickly gathered up bread and cooked meat, fruit, and fig cakes. She told her servants to load the food onto the donkeys and quickly took it to David and his men. Abigail herself rode after the servants, but she didn't tell her husband what she was doing. As Abigail was preparing to meet David, he was telling his men, "Nabal repaid me evil for good. I am going to get even. There won't be one man of his household alive in the morning." Whoa, that does not sound very good. When Abigail saw David, she got off her donkey and bowed to him. Then she said, "I accept all blame. Please listen. Nabal is evil and ill-tempered. Don't pay any attention to him. Don't kill anyone and have it be a blemish on your record when you become king." When David heard Abigail, he was amazed. He said, "Praise the Lord who sent you to me today. Thank God for your good sense. You have kept me from using my own hands to get even." David listened to Abigail and he changed his mind. He decided not to go to war against Nabal, and he told Abigail to go home in peace. I don't know about you, but parts of that story made me have that uneasy feeling in my tummy I was talking about earlier. Nabal wasn't kind to David, and David wanted to get even. There was going to be a big fight, and then Abigail brought peace to this angry situation. Abigail might have been nervous to go and meet David after he had been told that her husband Nabal wouldn't share anything with him, but God helped Abigail be a peacemaker. You know, God made Abigail. He gave her good sense and quick thinking. He gave her a heart for peace and kindness. And she used all of those gifts from God to help bring peace. She saw a big problem coming if David and Nabal chose to fight, but she was brave enough to be part of the solution, even when she wasn't part of the problem. She showed David that he did not have to fight. He could keep the peace with Nabal. Abigail was a peacemaker. And we can be peacemakers too. We can help others solve their problems in a peaceful way. It won't always be easy, but God can help us.
All this talk about peace has me thinking about the ultimate peacemaker, the Prince of Peace. Did you know that Jesus is called the Prince of Peace? In fact, there was a prophecy or a message that was written in the Old Testament hundreds of years before Jesus came to earth, where it told everyone that he would be called the Prince of Peace. Listen to this from Isaiah chapter 9. "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever." Want to know something cool? Those words were written 700 years before Jesus was born. God had a plan from the very beginning to bring peace to the world. When sin entered the world, it was kind of like that ball earlier. It just kept going and going, no matter how hard people tried. But then Jesus came and stopped sin in its tracks. He brought peace where there wasn't any. Jesus is the Prince of Peace.
Feel the wonder, say his name, watch the darkness slip away, put your power on display, say goodbye to fear and shame. We won't stop coming after you, we won't move until you move, come and do what only you can do, come and do what only you can do. We won't stop coming after you, we won't move until you move, come and do what only you can do, come and do what only you can do.
David was so mad, but God used Abigail to help him change direction by changing his heart. He went from angry to peace. Let's do some pendulum painting. First, you need some paper towel rolls, a string, a cup with some holes at the bottom, and a base. And you need some paper. Then you put your paint in the cup, swing it back, and watch it go.
I don't know about you, but sometimes being a peacemaker is hard work. I know I can't do it on my own. I need God's help. Let's talk to Him about it now, shall we? Dear God, I love you and I want to be a peacemaker, but I want to be honest that sometimes I feel sad. And other times, I feel angry. But I know that you want me to be a peacemaker, just like Jesus. God, I know I can't do that on my own, so would you please help me? Would you work in my heart so I choose peace over anger? Would you show me how to take action to help create peace in a chaotic world? God, we need your help. Amen.
I have a really cool craft for us to make today. Here's what you'll need: a piece of cardstock paper or a paper plate, markers or crayons, popsicle stick, and tape. We're gonna make a giant emoji mask. Remember in our story today how David was so super angry? Well, the first thing we're gonna do is a really angry emoji face. So, David was raging with anger, and he was all set to seek revenge on Nabal. But then Abigail saved the day. Abigail bravely went to David as a peacemaker. Now, flip over your angry emoji, and on the other side, you can make a happy emoji. Perfect. Now, I'm gonna tape the popsicle stick to make a mask. You could also punch holes and tie yarn so it goes around your head if you wanted to. When we look at our craft from one side, it looks like an angry face. But when we look at it from the other side, it looks like a happy face. It's just like David. When he looked at the situation he was in with anger, he was ready to seek revenge. But when he looked at the same situation with the reminder that he was a child of God, he chose peace.
to reveal the results of the Pack-a-Sack competition between FSM in the Road and Kids Ministry. Are you guys ready to find out who won? Yeah. All right, ready, set, go! Oh, FSM the Road are trying really hard, and Kids Ministry wins it! Yeah! That's right, Kids Ministry won! Okay, but that's not what matters, you guys. What matters is how many bags all of us brought in together, okay? The Road brought in 417 bags. FSM brought in 650 bags, and Kids Ministry brought in 2,702 bags, for a grand total of 3,701 bags! Yeah! We are so proud of the way that you guys all came together to serve the people around you. Great work. I am so glad you guys were here with us today to hear about the Prince of Peace and how we can be peacemakers. Have a great week, friends. See you next time.